PT Bukit Makmur Mandiri Utama berdiri. BUMA hadir dengan keinginan kuat untuk ikut memberikan manfaat bagi negeri ini dengan menjadi perusahaan terkemuka yang menyediakan beragam jasa penambangan batu bara melalui kemitraan jangka panjang bagi para produsen batu bara terbesar di Indonesia. Misi dari BUMA adalah sebagai penyedia jasa penambangan menyeluruh yang terpercaya melalui sumber daya manusia yang kompeten, kualitas engineering yang tinggi, efisien dalam proses, budaya keselamatan kerja, kesehatan dan lingkungan, serta keterlibatan dalam pengembangan komunitas. Menyediakan jasa yang bersifat menyeluruh, mulai dari tahapan produksi, termasuk pemindahan tanah, penambangan batu bara, pengangkutan batu bara, serta reklamasi, sampai rehabilitasi area penambangan.
Hello everyone, we are from Syndicate 2, BLEMBA 30 of SBM ITB. Welcome to our discussion to scenario planning for BUMA Future Business Focus. But before we start, let me introduce to our Syndicate group member. The first one is Aisyah Jati Putri, and then me, Ariesti Kiki Adisti, and then we also have Bima Andrian Syaharimurti, Katarina Cita Patmasari, Chris Novia, and the last is Muhammad Kolbun Salim. Previously, we already watched a glance profile of PT BUMA, and now let's take a look more detail on it. PT Bukit Makmur Mandiri Utama or BUMA operates as a provider for coal mining services and carries out a comprehensive scope of work from overburden removal, coal mining, and coal hauling. Currently, BUMA operates in 2 countries, they are Indonesia and Australia. In Indonesia, BUMA operates under long-term mining contract, with some of them being life-of-mine contracts. BUMA network of customers are leading coal concession companies in Indonesia, such as PT Berau Coal, PT Adaro Indonesia, PT Bayan Resource Indonesia, and many others. And in Australia, BUMA operates in 4 operational areas. Before we entering the scenario phase, let's see the overview of coal mining industry. And you can see on the left chart, we can see that the coal prices have bounced back as the Russian import bans are exacerbating market tightness. And we can see that the coal prices right now is the highest after the last 4 years. It is the impact from Russia and Ukraine wars. But on the other hand, you can see on the right chart that the carbon-intensive capex fell 35% between 2010 until 2020. And we expect it to grow until 60% by 2025. It is such a big dilemma, right? Because on one side, the coal mining is very, very profitable because the price is getting higher in the situation. But on the other hand, the carbon-intensive capex is getting lower. We will discuss much about it later. But before to get the deeper understanding of it, we have a video to overview of coal mining industry condition right now. Let's watch the video.
This coal mine produces over 200,000 tons of raw coal a month. All of it is destined for export. Coal prices hit a record of over $400 per ton this year. While the price has subsided, demand is still high as the war in Ukraine has no end in sight.
Around the world, renewable energy use is on the rise. And these alternative energy sources could hold the key to combating climate change. What is renewable energy? Renewable energy is generated from sources that naturally replenish themselves and never run out. The most common sources are solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and biomass. Over 80% of the total energy consumed by humans is derived from fossil fuels. However, renewables are the fastest growing source of energy in the world.
On the first part, to initiate the scenario planning, we conclude the key focal issues for BUMA. Should BUMA shift the focus of their business entirely into renewable energy, where the scope is within the coal mining industries and the time horizon is within 5 years? In this part, we are going to present about the business ideas in BUMA. The needs in the society, it's coal handling service providers that don't require big amount of permanent investment. So BUMA invent entrepreneurial invention, which is to accommodate professional resource handling for coal industries. The third one is the distinct competences. Is integrated and structured services from mine survey up until post-mine reclamation and rehabilitation. And then they have distinct competitive advantage, which is being the second largest mining contractors with 20% market share. On top of that, they have extensive customers experience. And to sustain the value creation, they ensure 5 operational elements and to diversify their core business. In investment part, they maintain good relationship and service, also acquisitions and initiating investment. In the end, they have resource capability by focusing on companies' short, mid, and long-term strategic plan with 6 pillars framework. It works together very well, and also it contributed into the distinct competences. In the next part is going to be presented by our colleague, Mas Kolbun.
The driving force. To identify about the environment in this business, we use spatial analysis to identify about the environment. Spatial analysis consists of political, economy, social, technology, environment, and legal. In politics, Indonesia produces 600 million tons per year and export it around 75%. So political stability is important for exporting this product. The next is about economy. Coal is currently a major part of the Indonesian economy, with coal mining contribution to about 5% of country's GDP and 12% of all export income. At the same time, Indonesia's domestic electricity demand is projected to increase 8.4% per year over the next decade. The next is about social. In addition, fossil energy extraction can potentially instigate problems, including large-scale deforestation, air pollution, concession conflict with local and indigenous communities, as well as adverse health impact from coal dust. The next is about environment. Climate change issue grow the environmental awareness and make people prefer to use renewable energy. The next is about technology. Mining company forced to be more competitive and efficient by implementing new technology. The next is about legal. The 1945 Constitution of Republic of Indonesia, Article 33, Paragraph 2 and 3, asserts that sectors of production which are important for the country and affect the life of the people shall be under the power of the state and shall be used to greatest benefit of the people. After understanding about the spatial analysis, we try to divide some factor from contextual and transactional. In contextual, there are 5 factors. It's about political stability, sustainability, government policy, and finite resource, and also CO2 emitter. In transactional environment, there are 4 factors. First is about customer demand, market price, competitor, and international trade. From driving force that at the previous slide, there will be the factors which will likely to give big impact but with uncertain outcome. We are trying to figure it out as critical uncertainties that also will impact to its business performance. Here, we give the quantitative value for those driving force in terms of low or high impact as well as uncertainty. Eventually, we find the highest value of impact and uncertainty, which also has representative and plausible criteria uncertainties. Those are political stability and sustainability, which highlighted with the green one on the top right side. The contribution of choosing political stability and sustainability, since these two factors have both systemic and tangible effect to the company. Hence, the chosen driving force will be detailed in develop the emerging force scenario as the result of critical uncertainties combination as axis for the next 2x2 matrix of scenario planning.
We make scenario planning matrix based on two variables as x and y axis, which is political stability and sustainability. The political stability scale that we use consists of conducive and chaos political stability. Conducive political stability means stable political conditions, including the end of war between Russia and Ukraine, while chaos political stability means there are ongoing events that push the oil price up. The sustainable scale that we use consists of reactive and proactive. Reactive sustainability means that the climate control initiatives that reacting to the past are only performed after there are damage exists in the current period. While proactive means climate control initiative performed before a situation becomes a source of confrontation or crisis. To make the matrix easier to understand, we use four metaphors, which is traditional market, shopping mall, street vendors, and luxury store. The approach used for this metaphor are price shift caused by political stability affected by war and demand shift affected by global climate control initiative. In the top left corner, we put cluster 1 with metaphor traditional market. In this cluster, we assume that there are slow reactive global climate control initiative and the Russia-Ukraine war ended. This condition will make the demand of coal higher, while the end of Russia-Ukraine war will shift the coal price lower, so high demand and low prices. In the top right corner, we put cluster 2 with metaphor shopping mall. In this cluster, we assume that there are slow reactive global climate control initiatives and the Russia-Ukraine war still ongoing. This condition will make the demand of coal higher and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war will shift the coal price higher, so high demand and high prices. In the bottom left corner, we put cluster 3 with metaphor street vendor. In this cluster, we assume that there are proactive global climate control initiatives and the Russia-Ukraine war ended. This condition will make the demand of coal lower and the end of Russia-Ukraine war will shift the coal price lower, so low demand and low prices. Lastly, in the bottom right corner, we put cluster 4 with metaphor luxury store. In this cluster, we assume that there are proactive global climate control initiatives and the Russia-Ukraine war still ongoing. This condition will make the demand of coal lower and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war will shift the coal price higher, so low demand and high prices.
After creating the scenario, we also have to consider the consequences of each scenario as well as other options for that consequences. due to the strategic planning and organization capability. And this description also will depend on the agility of the company along the selected time horizon, which is 5 years. First is when the Russia and Ukraine war ended but resulted in the low reactive climate control initiatives, the top left side of the picture. The consequences will resulted to the stable of coal demand and price. Also put on the company growth, which will be more stagnant. This will put BUMA in low capital financing condition where the financing is uneasy. And how should BUMA react to this kind of circumstance? They have to make sure that their coal mining business runs efficiently and trying to diversify to another business portfolio within the same industry. The second scenario, the top right side one, when the political situation becomes chaos because the prolonged Russia-Ukraine war and the people become reactive to the sustainability issue with style climate control initiatives. Hence, the demand of coal as well as its coal price keep increasing. And in this situation also, the company has a big chance to earn lots of financing from stakeholders. And what BUMA can do to tackle these consequences by increasing the productivity and keep growing with the existing or new customers in coal mining industry. While the third scenario is come up with the peace or reconciliation between Russia and Ukraine achieved, while the countries perform aggressive climate control initiatives, the bottom left side. These circumstances will impact it to the low number of coal-fired power plants, but high demand of the renewable research. However, there might be the possibility where BUMA face the difficulties to get financing for the coal business because the low number of fossil fuels vehicles. Since most people are preferably to use the EV or electric vehicle. And the last scenario, the bottom right side, when the Russia-Ukraine war still ongoing with the proactive climate control initiatives, consequently to the demand and price of coal, which will decrease over the year and also impact it to the coal financing itself. The stakeholder will look up for financing of other renewable energy. And on the other hand, the options that BUMA can undergo by limiting the growth for coal mining or start to diversifying to renewable energy research, which will be more potential and environmentally friendly and strengthen the company ESG program.
So yeah, in this part, we are going to discuss about integrations. So in this part, we will identify the early warning signals for each scenario or the critical turning point factors which inform that the scenario is unfolding. So as you can see in the picture, when the political situation is on conducive level and the sustainability awareness at the active level, the signal shows no change on the customer behavior. Meanwhile, when the political situation is on chaos level and the sustainability awareness is reactive, the signal that we can find is as written in the upper right column, whereby the coal consumption will continue to rise and level of commitment from the policymaker to a low carbon economy decrease. Moving to the lower left column, the signal shows when the political stability is conducive, but the sustainability awareness is proactive, are the first, consumer prefer environmental friendly options. So when the political is stable, it could increase consumer spending behavior and they started to buy things that more expensive or cost more, but have less impact to the environmental. The other signal would be the global energy consumption rises by 2.2%. So the total energy consumption across the 69 countries covered by the Economic Intelligence Unit forecast will rise by 2.2, including the coal, as economies recover from the impact of the pandemic. And then the other signal will be emissions target drive new energy regulations. So in this case, as the energy transition accelerates and government try to fulfill the pledge made at the UN Climate Conference in Glasgow in late 2021, so there are, among other places, in 23 countries, including Indonesia, has agreed to phase out coal in the 2030s. So in this regard, Indonesia will soon pass stricter regulations promoting renewable growth, imposing carbon taxes, or encouraging electrification of transport in the year ahead. And the other signal is green financing is on demand. So more banks will focus giving a facility limit to finance green financings instead of non-environmental friendly projects. Last but not least, the upper right column, the signal shows when the political stability is chaos, but the sustainability awareness is proactive, are first, supply chains will be disrupted due to political conditions. Second, global inflation will jump above 6%. USD will be stronger against rupiah, and consumer will prefer cheap options. So the conclusions from our scenario planning of BLEMBA is, after analyzing the conditions and performing scenario analysis of what will happen to BLEMBA business in the coal industry in another 5 years, we hope that BLEMBA will be ready to overcome the challenges ahead. However, we will also forecast that global climate concern will be steadily increasing, either in slow or fast pace. So sooner or later, BLEMBA should be ready to shift their business to renewable energy in all of these scenarios.